What is up, y'all? Welcome into Bleav in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy. Got Aaron Gershon from the Cat's Paws. AG out here. Look. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Aaron Gershon, y'all follow him. We talk about it every week on the Cat's Paws. If you follow him on Twitter, and I'm not stalking him, but he removed one pin tweet of an exclusive
That's
with
right.
Mark Pope and replaced it with a pin tweet of an exclusive with Cam Williams. So y'all listen. So I'll just give you the floor, man.
Oh no, I appreciate the quick plug out of the gate here, but yeah, shout out to Cam Williams for not only his time, but man, he's a really good interview and a very mature young man. I mean, we're talking about a kid who is a rising sophomore, so not a fifth year senior like we saw a bunch of with last year's team, not even a fourth year senior or incoming junior. Like this kid is just 1 year into college and is beyond his years maturity wise and great interview, great insight on why he picked Kentucky, why he felt Mark Pope and this staff is going to be the ones that get him to his ultimate goal, which is to, of course, make it to the NBA, be a first round draft pick, and talked a lot about the fan base and the great reception he's gotten from them. Dug a little bit more into his game and the scheme. So there's some really, really good quotes in there from Cam Williams. I think I'll share one that stood out to me if I can find it here. That I really just a snippet that I thought was really um, interesting, but sorry, yeah, I'll find it. I'll bring it up at some point. But there was a snippet. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. Cam, he broke down every guy that they've added in the portal so far.
Okay.
Basically, everything you want to know as far as why he picked Kentucky, the scheme, and what was so attractive to him. I mean, we all year long, it's oh, who wouldn't want to play in this scheme? And he basically said just that. That's the exact quote I'm looking for. Okay, here it is. Said, okay, they're losing a lot of guys this year with seniors. They looked at my play style and realized that I could really fit the system that they run. I don't know if I was the first target, but it felt like I was the first target. Them reaching out so quickly showed just how interested they were. For them to notice my play style fitting in their system, it was just like, how can I pass that up?
Ooh,
I
wow.
love it. I love it. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Cam is very insightful, very, very smart beyond his years. Really, really came away impressed with him. And, he was the one guy we got to break down extensively last week because he was already committed. We'll get to the other three guys and spend more time on them. But again, a 6'8" tweener, guy who shot 41% from three on over 150 attempts, guy who averages over a block a game, a guy who averages over almost a steal and a half per game. He talked to me extensively about how he loves guarding short guards. He called them little guards. So the Zakai Zieglers of the world, like he's a guy who can switch on to those speedy demon-like guards that gave Kentucky trouble this year. So, really, really good stuff from Cam Williams. I think whether you want to read it online, I have to put it behind. Look, I got into this with someone on Twitter last week. Like, I wish paywalls weren't a thing, but they are. It's life. We have to make money somehow in this business, and so it is behind a paywall for now. I hope after a few months to open it up and make it free. But I don't. Objectively, if I were a fan and wanting to get a really good idea of just what Kentucky is doing in the portal, the type of young men they're after, the things that these kids are weighing, money aside, are weighing and what they objectively thought of Kentucky's pitch and all that good stuff. Like, this is a really good interview. Honestly, it helped me learn a lot about the intricacies of it. So
Hmm.
I learned something. I hope you guys will too. And definitely excited to have Cam here and to cover him. Starting this summer.
So you touched on a little bit. I was going to ask for those that don't know or maybe want to how could people get access to your article? You mentioned the paywall or subscribe. How can they get to it to read it right now?
Yep. Yeah, you can do it one or two ways, right? You can go, if you want to subscribe to the 247 site, there is a 50% sale going right now, which would be $4, 480 for 448 a month for the first year compared to almost $10 a month. So you're saving again about 50% there. You could do it by month, or you can, which is my favorite way to do it. Nothing against the 247 guys, is you can subscribe to our magazine over on. I shared the link on Twitter through the News Enterprise site. I mean, to me, there's very few like it in this day and age, where you get a magazine of just Kentucky basketball, football news, athletics news. Like, I'm sure there are a couple across the country that are like it, but it's the first of its kind. It started a trend. I understand that, it's a little bit of a lost art. It's a little bit of an antique-ish thing, but I don't think there's anything like it. I wouldn't be working for a company if I didn't think that. So that's my favorite way to go get it. You can get a subscription, like I said, using the link I sent, the link I put out on Twitter. You could also search Cat's Paws and use the News Enterprise pop up when you Google it. I think it's the second or third thing that's shown on Google. So one of those two ways.
They got all kind of tiers and plans, 1A, 1B, all kind of. Let's see.
Yeah, there's ways
Okay.
to make it. It's very affordable, and I know right now it's everything's expensive. I'm not going to go political. I don't even understand everything politically, but everything's expensive right now. But we try to make it as affordable as possible.
Yeah, yeah. So the catspose.com. I'm looking at the News Enterprise right now, all the different plans and tiers for you get the delivery types, the yearbooks, the football yearbook.
Yep, there's ways
Which
to package all that. Yep.
okay, all right. So that makes me want to ask you this too. Now that the season's over, you know, no games to look forward to, no travel plans to make for road games to cover at venues and
Yeah.
things of that nature. How are you? Because you just got this interview and just put the article up. How are you as far as grinding, spending your time right now? I guess if you had to divide it into percentage, what percentage are you doing on transfer portal? What percentage are you doing on football yearbook as of right now?
Right. So I'm going to really get into high gear on the football yearbook when spring practice ends this weekend.
Mm,
So, I went to practice today just to do some of the offensive interviews. There's a defensive day on Friday. I'll try to make that. And then they play their little spring, whatever they're calling it, showcase on Saturday. But after that, and we've gotten a chance to get a lot of interviews, a lot of inside in, get eyes on the team twice at that point. I'll really start diving in and going high gear on the not only football yearbook, but the football transfer portal is going to reopen again on the 16th. So what's that, a week from today?
yeah.
So you're going to Kentucky definitely has a log jam at some positions, and in order to add other positions, I think they're actually, let me see, I have a tracker of their whole roster that I made a spreadsheet for. They are at, by my count, 88 scholarships. So they would need to lose 3 guys. Actually, they'd need to lose 4 guys just in order to add more,
Mhm.
assuming 85 is still going to be the number, which it sounds like it's going to be. So, you're going to see some of their guys on the current roster enter the transfer portal. Impossible to say who or how many at this point, but I think past years it's usually been around 7 or 8. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see 7 or 8 go after this year ends. So we'll be covering that in full. There'll be a lot of basketball and a lot of basketball portal stuff still going. I think Kentucky at this point still needs one more player. We'll see if they end up needing more than that, given the fact that you may still have a guy leave or two. I think it would just be one that leaves, and we'll talk about it a little later on if it does even happen. So, still very much basketball, but we'll kick into high gear on the football transfer transfer portal and yearbook stuff starting really on Monday.
Yes, get that little semi kind of juggle thing going on a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Off season juggle.
Yeah, April is still, I wouldn't say it's busy. I mean, it's busier than it used to be.
Yeah.
Now that you have especially with the basketball transfer portal, and now having this is not a shot at Cal when I say it, it's just a different approach. A coach that actually uses the portal, and now Cal does. But if you remember that 2013 offseason, I mean, they didn't add a portal player until June when Trey Mitchell fell into their lap after
Yeah.
Bob Huggins,
Yeah.
his situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, now obviously last year, April into May was insanely busy because he had a whole roster to fill, he had a
Yeah.
whole coaching staff to fill. So it's not going to be quite like that, and it hasn't been quite like that this April, but definitely April is a busier month than it used to be. Usually, after Kentucky's last game, it was really just spring practice and football yearbook. Now it's a very busy season transactionally for basketball, and it really doesn't get quiet. And luckily for us last year too, baseball. We were talking about it a little before the show. Unfortunately, it's not the case so far this year, and probably won't be. But baseball had me at least working into the end of June,
Yeah.
going to Omaha, going to all the home postseason games. So
Mm-hmm.
that I don't foresee, unfortunately. If they're a 3 seed in a region, we're not going to probably make the move to go out there. But eventually when July goes around, you got spring football, you got SEC media days. I might consider doing Peach Jam this year, stuff like that. So, but it's May is usually the calmest month of the entire year, and I think it's still trending to be that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like said all that to say, check Aaron out at the Cat's Paws.
I
Subscribe,
appreciate it.
follow, read the articles. The exclusive with Cam Williams. The article talk about Jason Patterson at running back, which included
That
a little
one's
bit
free.
from
Yep.
from our interview with Coach Boware is in that
Yes,
one
I
as
did.
well. So just look, Aaron is doing it all. Y'all keep it, keep it locked into what he's doing, and you'll stay covered at abreast on all things Cats. You mentioned spreadsheet again. Look, Aaron talked about the football spreadsheet. I struggle putting little graphics up here, so I'm gonna try to just bring Aaron's basketball spreadsheet
Oh,
up
good
here.
stuff.
So let's see if we can do that
Oh
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. There we go.
Hey. So you got up to the minute Kentucky's roster situation as it currently stands. You mentioned Cam Williams coming in, and then we had a few more additions to the team since we were on here last as well.
Yeah, well, this time last week, the whole fan base was panicking that Mark Pope couldn't recruit, that Mark Pope was sleeping, that Mark Pope, or that Kentucky had no NIL money, the world was ending, and now they're at a point where, I mean, you can tell me if this is a hot take or not. I don't even think it's a hot take. I think it's pretty objective. If they go out and get one more shooter, because I do think that's still, you have this list in front of me. Jasper Johnson. It's hard to know exactly what. Just freshmen are so hard to project. I'm not sure if we're going to get a lottery pick one and done in Jasper Johnson. It's hard to tell. So, and Colin Chandler, I love the growth. I don't think he's going to be a knockdown 40% shooter from three. I don't foresee that. Same with Trent Noah. I think he's going in the right direction as well. But Kentucky, I still think needs another two guard that can really light it up from three. I think you're looking at Lamar Wilkerson's a name that's has been floated out there the last couple of days. From Sam Houston State, guy that shot 45% over 200 threes this past year. Wesley Yates the third from USC is the guy that his name's been out there. It seems like it's trending in Washington's direction with his connections to former NBA player, now coach Quincy Pondexter. Sounds like Pondexter might go on staff at Washington. Their cousins might follow him out. So, we'll see if I'm not sure if Wesley Yates is still on board or not. I don't think it's over. And then again, with Lamar Wilkerson, and then there's still, the portal doesn't close for it's open forever for graduates. And if there's a coaching change anywhere, they get 30 days, but non-graduates still have until April 22nd to enter, and you're still seeing the floodgates open with the portal. So I still think they're going to add another shooter. With all that said, I think if they do, with what they've done in the last week, I don't know how this is not a top 5 roster in college basketball right now. Because Auburn, I included all the SEC spreadsheets there. Like Auburn has a lot of work to do in the portal. They lost so much from this current roster. They might get Pettiford back if he probably will. I don't think he's going to be a first round pick, so that'll be huge. But Auburn's got a lot of work to do. Arkansas has got a lot of work to do. I think they'll be in pretty good shape, but they got a lot of work to do. Florida's got a ton of returning pieces, but how do you replace Walter Clayton, Will Richardson, Elijah Martin? That's a really, really tall order. This is just in the SEC alone. Duke has a lot of pieces. They have a lot of star freshman coming in again, but they have some holes they got to cover. So, it's all going to look a lot different. That's just talking right now here on April 9th. I think Kentucky's a shooter away from currently being a top 5 team in the country. And I don't think, Louisville, I saw was 3 in some spots. I don't think they're quite that, but I think they're probably a top 10 roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we got to see what like Florida just finished playing. So, they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. They do have a ton of returners, though. Outside of the only guys they're guaranteed to lose are the big 3 in the backcourt. So, but yeah, I think this roster with Jayden Quaintance being the jewel so far. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, unless something goes horribly wrong, is going to be a 2026 lottery pick. Yes, he's coming off the torn ACL, and that is a little worrisome, but you're talking the 9th best, most efficient shot blocker in America, which was, and that's at an area where Kentucky really, really, really struggled last year. A guy who's going to come in and block shots, a guy that's going to rebound the hell out of the ball. He's very efficient scoring around the rim. I think there's still some more untapped potential with his shot from the outside. He shoots his threes flat-footed, which every time I always think of Naz Reid whenever I see a guy who shoots flat-footed threes. So, but a guy you're going to be able to play through at the center position and is a freak athlete. And so cool that he's coming back. Clearly, this was a guy that wanted to be at Kentucky the first time around. Didn't necessarily work out. I think Quaintance probably would have been happy to still stay and play for Pope, but Pope kind of wanted to do his own thing in the first year, have his own culture, and now bringing him in. I love that addition, honestly, and I love Cam. We talked a lot about Cam. Mohamed Diabate is a guy I've talked about for a long. I put out a tweet the second he entered the portal that I'll find. It was something along the lines of, "I'm not Mark Pope, but if I was Mark Pope, this guy is a perfect fit because he's physical as all hell. He's only 6'7", but he's an elite defensive rebounder, 5th in the SEC as far as efficiency goes as a defensive rebounder. A guy who he didn't shoot that many threes, only 26, but he shot it at 46%. So that's in his bag. He can guard every position 1 through 5. Just a guy that can really do the dirty work. And Kentucky, as much as we really liked, and I really liked this last team, and they had a great season, there was not one guy on the roster that I trusted night in and night out to go do the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
And Mohamed Diabate and I think Cam Williams, both to have 2 of those guys, and then have with Cam a known great 3-point shooter and Diabate a guy who I think can become a really good 3-point shooter. I mean, the athleticism there with those 3 guys is off the charts. Like a lineup with those 3 in the game, it's going to be really hard to score. And that's huge given what they struggled, how Kentucky struggled on the defensive end at closing possessions last year. I think Jalan Lowe was probably the guy that fans were most mixed on, I would say. I think you have to, you love that he's a stat stuffer, right? I think 6 double-doubles from the point guard position. He had a triple-double this year. Only 4 players in Kentucky history have ever done that.
Yeah.
And they've all only done it once. Amari Williams, Isaiah Briscoe, and the other 2 are way back when. So, like, you're talking about a guy who's done something
De'Aaron Fox. And
was it De'Aaron? Okay, my fault.
Mills. No, yeah, you said Briscoe, all right? Yeah.
Briscoe, Amari.
And Chris Mills, like when I was a kid, I was
there
like
you go.
I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, there it is. You're right. Chris Mills, 1998, Amari Williams, 2025, both De'Aaron Fox and Isaiah Briscoe within a month of each other in 2016. So there.
What year was Mills?
1988 against Austin Peay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew I was a kid. I knew.
Yeah.
That was right before probation and things really got
right. Got hairy. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Eddie Sutton.
So if Jalan Lowe had did that at Kentucky, he'd be the 5th player in this storied history to ever do it. Yeah. So he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. I think his shooting. Look, Lamont Butler wasn't a great 3-point shooter at San Diego State either, and I think. You look at Lowe's shot and you watch it objectively, it looks good. Like his form is there. He's a really good free throw shooter, so he can shoot it. That's always a good sign. That's always a good indicator, I think, is free throw shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a little more concerned with the shooting if he was like I was with Lamont. Like Lamont was like a career mid-60s free throw shooter.
Yeah.
where Jalen Lowe both years 85% as a freshman, 88% this year, and that's on 166 attempts. Like this guy's automatic at the line. So I think with having to do a little bit less as far as shot quantity with the guys he's going to be surrounded with at Kentucky, which is why I still think it's important they do add another lockdown three shooter. You're not going to find Kobe Brea, but someone who can fit that mold in some shape or form. Again, I don't think you're going to find a guy who's that lethal, but someone who fits that role, I think is crucially important. I think Kentucky's on the prowl for that to fill that kind of last need there. But I think Jalen Lowe, I'm looking at now 5.5 assists per game. I mean, that's top 35 in the country, 4.2 rebounds from the point guard position. Like, he's a pretty good defender. Like, there's a lot to like about Jalen Lowe. And I think it's all about who's around him. He's also only a rising junior. He's got room to get even better. I think the system will make him even better. So I don't know how anyone could be. And I think the fan base at this point is pretty universally excited about the haul that they've put together with these four. And again, there's still one more to come. Pretty confident in that. But like, this is a excellent start.
So you mentioned knockdown shooter, two guard type. Do you think they maybe look for a stretch four? Do you think they think that BG can be that guy?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't. If BG is back, I think they're done in the front court. That's my current read on it. I know there's been a lot with the Alvaro Fargarlis, I believe it is, from Robert Morris, the Horizon Player of the Year. But I think adding Quaintance and adding Diabate, where does he fit if BG is back? Like then you start. There's just too many mouths to feed type deal. You also still, I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be this year, but you also have Malachi Moreno coming in. So
he can shoot it, or
exactly.
Yeah.
He's got the tools they're looking for, and he's a decision maker. So, I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. If Brandon Garrett, I think there's definitely some smoke out there. I want to give credit. I think it was Jack Pilgrim put it out first that Brandon is considering entering the portal, which makes sense given the additions they've made. If he does, I wouldn't be surprised if Fulgaris or another stretch four is something that becomes, a need and something they pursue heavily along with that two shooter. If not, I think they're going to roll the dice with Garrison there because Pope is really high on him. And, he did, it was a mixed bag for sure. There were games where he was simply unplayable on the defensive end and took way too many shots for a guy that is still a very much work in progress as a shooter, or he made some stupid, silly turnovers. But, again, he was only a sophomore. So, and he was a McDonald's All-American just 2 years ago. So the talent is there. The potential is there. Do you really want to give up on it this early? It'll be interesting. So it for me, go back to your original question. It just all depends on BG. I think if BG is back, him playing the five like he did this year, having some reps at the four, given you have Quaintance, who is really a five, even though he's 6'9". I think that's all on the table. But it's all going to come down to what Brandon Garrison decides. As things stand right now, I'm only expecting them to add a two. And then leave it for there.
Yeah. So where are you as far as, we mentioned the panic. Where are you as far as with all the panic that inevitably we're going to see this every single year.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it, man? But also it keeps you kind of having a place to distribute content because there's just this craving of gotta have it. I just there's no need to panic to me. I'm not a panic. I'm not a worrier. I've said it last week. I've said it for years. If we get to Big Blue Madness and they only have 8 players, then I worry. That's just how I feel. I'm with you. So for you, you got a portal tracker, you have this, you have that, and it gets people go to the site for that. So, and from that standpoint, I
Yeah.
guess you guys are like, okay, great, we love the panickers because
Yeah.
they this.
Don't bother me. Keep on panicking. Yeah. No, really. It's just, look, I get fans are excited and they're anxious and they go and see, oh, this guy was a 42% three shooter. He's the perfect fit. Like I get, and then they go to Alabama or Louisville or whatever, and what happened? How'd we whiff? Blah 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 blah. But
Yeah.
like, look, this coaching staff and all really across the country, every staff's different, has different philosophies, and some schools are willing to get in the bidding wars, and they don't mind paying a crazy amount, and all this is going to start to change with the revenue sharing, but some schools just have their eyes on a certain target and they'll do whatever it takes to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Others, like Kentucky, are very, very, very thorough. They do their due diligence both in person and in Zoom. So, like, you saw them bring in Mackenzie and Baco for a visit a couple weeks ago. I'm sure. I mean, he's still out there, so I'm sure Mbako probably wanted to come here. I mean, he's a former McDonald's All-American. He visited here and was offered here when Cal was here. I think they finished kind of second to Indiana. Like, I'm sure he would have loved to be here. Clearly, they kept looking for another 4 after he didn't commit because, well, now you have Mo Diabate. So they must have saw something there. They met with Jaron Pierre. He's the guy who's still on the market. Who knows if I'm just spitballing, but I know for a fact they have gotten to a couple points there. A player said, yes, this is where I want to be. And Kentucky said, we just aren't mutual. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have exactly who that was with, but I've been told that's kind of how they've been operating. Where at the last minute or when a player is kind of locking in, they'll kind of finish their due diligence. They'll debrief as a staff and they'll come back and be, you know what, I'm sorry. I think it's best if you do something else. And that's what they do. And and the thing too, to remember, like, this is Kentucky at the end of the day. I'm not saying that as they're better than everyone else, but it's like the money's there. Like that'll take care of itself. You don't have to worry about NIL with Kentucky basketball right now. If there was an issue, I'd report it. There is not an issue with NIL. Like, they are strapped and loaded, and they're spending big money on this roster. So they're going to pay the guys they feel are really good fits. They're not going to get into bidding wars because I think they get rubbed off the wrong way with some of these bidding wars. It's like, are you coming here because you really want to be here and you really feel it's a good fit? Or are you coming here for top dollar? Look what happened to Kansas last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And Kansas State, both of the Kansas teams. Like, I don't know. I don't know if money, like, I more so Kansas, because Kansas State, I mean, Coleman Hawkins was pretty vocal about, how badly he felt he didn't have a big year. So I think he was genuinely trying his ass off, just had a bad year. But Kansas, like, you can't tell me when they put together, they bring in AJ Storr and they bring in Rylan Griffin, who I think is a good player, just got misutilized. And they bring in, all these guys from the portal. They bring in Hunter Dickinson, comes back for his 35th year. And like, they just didn't mesh. And it seemed like they had like the effort was totally lacking at times. Same thing with Indiana. Like, Umar Ballo was I think the number 1 player in the portal last year. And he at times just, the effort wasn't there. So, like, it's just a different ball game now. So Kentucky is not going to go get guys just because they're ranked 1, 2, 3 in the portal, or just because they shoot 45% from 30. They're going to get guys that fit their system. They're going to get guys that they mesh with from a personality standpoint and feel like are going to be really good in the locker room and good in the community. And they're going to get guys who are fits on the basketball court. All the above. They're looking for all of that. It's not one or the other. So every single guy they've added this year certainly fits the bill, and they're looking for at least one more of those, maybe 2, depending on what Brennan Garrison does. But I mean, look, just talking to Cam Williams, that's a Mark Pope player if I've ever listened to one speak. Like, he's so mature beyond his years. He's so smart. He really knows the game. Like, that's a kid, and with his skill set and the numbers, like, that's a Mark Pope player. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for guys who fit them on and off the court. They're going to be really good in the community, and the money will take care of itself. They'll go pay. If they feel like they're the perfect guy, they're going to go pay that guy.
And I forget, I think it was before the season started last year. Pope had a sit-down interview. If it was a Louisville outlet or where it was, but he basically was talking about how he kind of looks at it as a ripple effect. He's like, every single thing I do, every assistant coach I hire, everything I do, it's like it affects the next move or the trajectory of the program. If I do this, this could
Yes.
happen. If I do this, that could happen. And he like thinks all that through before he doesn't just go jumping into hiring some guy or bringing a player in
Yeah.
because of the repercussions or the ripple effect of that move.
No question.
So I remember that. I don't know if I played it on here, but I was sitting there listening to him. I was like, man,
It's a great
to
point.
be that detailed, and we hear it all the time with a point guard. You know, a good point guard, it's almost ad nauseum. Oh, you can't speed him up. Well, all of this panic from the fan base is not going to speed up Mark Pope as far as, well, everybody's fussing because we haven't added anybody to portal. He's going to get a guy when he wants to. It's not like he's going to be rushed into doing something or making a decision just because the fans are panicking. He's going to go at his own pace regardless, looks like. So I like that.
He's going to run his own race. Yeah, no question. Yeah, I mean, look, one guy. Oh, here you go. See, this portal stuff happens like that. Lamar Wilkerson is visiting Kentucky, Indiana, Auburn, and Ole Miss before making a decision.
Wow, Kentucky get the first visit?
Kentucky's listed first.
Okay. And so, I don't know. It's everything is just rush. You know, I mean, it's happened that way. Go ahead.
If they get Lamar, sorry, I just got sidetracked with this Wilkerson visit. His hometown is Ashdown, Arkansas, and Arkansas is not on that list. Just saying.
And they have a lot of work to do, like you said. So hey, you know, but it's everybody, like you said, with the panic. It's always gotta have it 10 minutes ago. Gotta have it yesterday. You know, you mentioned Florida. They just finished playing, so it makes sense that their roster isn't complete.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as look at what Pope did last year. As he hired a staff, was behind in the portal, was kind of picking through what was left, and still put together a Sweet 16 team with what was left. I mean, he didn't get hired until about April, whatever the date was last year. Did he even? He got to Lexington, and
I believe it was a year today that Cal put out the video he was leaving.
Yeah, so I don't, if we shouldn't panic based on what he did last year. When you're having to recruit for the upcoming year, try to get Marino and Jasper to flip, buy a house, hire a staff. You did that. You did all that and made it to the Sweet 16. Now you're still busy. You're still busy. I'm not saying he doesn't have anything going on, but you don't have near as much going on this year as you did last year, and you're not going to be behind. You're not
going to be behind, and you have something to build off of and sell.
Yes.
Like this ragtag put together team, and I'm not trying to diminish these guys. Like they were a joy to cover.
They weren't freaky athletic, and they weren't as tough and they physical as
10th in offensive efficiency, 30th in tempo, and they got to the Sweet 16. They set a program record and tied an NCAA record for top 15 wins. Yeah. Like now, like. Again, as quoting Cam Williams, like what was it again? I'm sorry, lost what it was, but it was how could I not? How can I pass that up? Mm-hmm. That's what you're getting. And look, not every player is different. Some players, teams like Tennessee, like they're going to get different style of players that are going to fit them better. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M, no, I shouldn't say them anymore because Buzz is gone. But Maryland isn't going to go out and get a bunch of 45% three shooters. They're going to get some big behemoth physical
offensive
boxers.
rebounding,
Yeah, they're gonna
defensive.
get 8 Oscar Shibwes. It's just every team is gonna be put together different. So not
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what you're look in like the portal rankings and all this. Like it's all of the. It comes down to fit. And right now, Kentucky's taking guys that fit, but you're also seeing the talent and athleticism be higher and higher ranked. Not only higher ranked, but just measurable by stats. You're just seeing bigger names coming here now because Kentucky went out and proved a lot. Like that
Yeah.
was this again. This is Kentucky, so Sweet 16 should not be your ceiling every year,
Yeah.
but that's a hell of a start, and it set a really good tone.
And so now that they're ahead of last year's pace as far as putting a team together, you still got 6 months to the first practice, and people are now they're just making lineup combinations, and it's just
Yeah.
like just got all this nervous energy
Look,
and don't know what to
yeah.
do, and I don't know. It's always been that way. I've said it. I said it in 2012. They won the championship, and I swear, Aaron, the banner had just got raised and was still swaying, and it was already all right. Let's get number 9. I'm like, dude,
Relax.
you better enjoy 8 for a minute, and they was already all right on the next thing. So it's just the way it is. Look, if one shining moment doesn't even finish playing Monday night, and it's already the way too early top 25. Everybody does that immediately. Florida's not even cut the nets down, and well, the odds for next year. So it's crazy. Everybody just moves on so quickly, in everything. But I don't know.
Yeah, 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 it's a different era, man. It's different.
Yeah,
This whole thing is different now, and the way the rosters are put together. There's a lot of speed dating. There's a lot of just
yeah.
it's crazy, but Kentucky has done it. It took a few days longer than everyone wanted. Again, like look at
Oh
Florida,
God.
man. Like Florida's got a real look. Florida's got happens to have right now. They're going to probably need some attrition because by my count, they actually have 13 scholarship guys, and
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of guys there that redshirted or just But like they haven't even started. Duke hasn't even started, and they
Yeah.
have a lot of holes to fill. Auburn has one guy from. They've gotten one transfer and one JUCO transfer. If Chad Baker Mazzara comes back, I have them at
Dude,
7 scholarships right now. I
he's
know.
older than you, isn't he?
Yes.
He is, isn't he? He really is.
I think let's see when his birthday is. I think we're both 26.
Man, I mean,
Oh no, okay, he's a little younger. He was born in 2000. I'm 99, so he's a
wow.
little. He's January of 2000, so I am 10 months older. That's it. That's all I
Wow.
am. And
Yeah.
I've been out of college for 4 years.
Yeah. And he tweeted out War Eagle
Oh,
question
this
mark.
guy. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But besides the point, like Auburn is, yeah, like they're ahead of the game. Kentucky, after they're falling behind, has all of a sudden they're ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I just want how everybody, you see all these different accounts, some of it, how do you say that you've watched every kid in the portal and you know how he's gonna fit? You see all these people, oh yeah, he'll be a fit. Oh, we whiffed on him. Like, how do you
know?
I didn't even know the small forward from North Dakota Central State, and you like breaking down his whole game. I'm like, how do these people have time for this?
It's tired. It does get tired.
Yeah. So I don't know, but long story short, Kentucky is doing well.
Yes.
We don't know behind the scenes what you have an idea now of more so of the thinking behind Kentucky's madness, the method to their madness, like you said, talking to Cam with how they kind of approach things, but we don't know what the staff has going or who they're looking at. Look, Ansley Almanor, who knew him
Yeah, he
last
was
year?
ranked in the 300s in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, I watched them beat Purdue, but I still didn't really. I'm like, oh yeah, but so that's how detailed they're looking for a fit, and like you said, some seeming can't miss fits. They're kind of like, don't call us, we'll call you, and so it's worked so far. And as Joel Embiid said years ago when Philly was taking, trust the process. So that's what we got to do.
Yep, exactly. And I'm telling you, the process right now, and again, Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston, Houston's actually got like their whole team back for the most part, so they're in really good shape. But Tennessee still has a lot of holes to fill. Or like
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of teams that we don't know exactly where they're going to be at, but like the way things are trending right now, like Kentucky is going to be a preseason top 5, top 10 team,
Yeah.
and that's based on the additions they've made. And again, the most underrated part of it, and I don't know who said it, but like the best wins you have, or like the best players you have, the best recruiting wins you are the ones you already have. And the fact it seems like they're going to bring back Otega Oweh. I don't think it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be a first round pick or enter the portal at this point. You get another year of development for Travis Perry. You expect a little bit more this year from Trent Noah and Colin Chandler, especially with like Chandler was coming on the last
Mm-hmm.
month of the season. Like they and my favorite part of their approach, and it would be, and having one guy in Wilkerson doesn't change the approach. Every single guy that they've brought into the portal this year has at least 2 years left. Two of them have 3 years left.
Mm-hmm.
Quaintance probably going to be a one and done, but
Yeah.
still, they're not just going with fifth year seniors. They're going with experience combined with guys who can stay around and build this program. That it's awesome. It's objectively an awesome approach. It's similar. Look at it's what like Florida, like a bunch of these, like Clayton, Richard, were both together last year. So
Mm-hmm.
was they had Hand locked in was there last year. Condon was there last year. Hall was there last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much. Auburn, that whole group of seniors had played together for multiple years. Alabama with Sears, Nelson, and
Yeah.
Reed and Williamson and Diabate, who's or
Mm-hmm.
not Williamson, he's new there. Cheryl, Diabate, like just guys who have been around the block and have played together. It's so important to have some continuity. Houston always has a ton of continuity.
Mm-hmm.
So for Kentucky to have that going into this year, not only with the staff, but with 5 players, and then add these guys who that number could keep getting higher, and you have less portal work to do each year.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And you check the boxes. You injured a ton, and
Yeah.
you were a little bit uh, not as physical as you need to be,
Excuse me.
not as athletic as you need to be.
Right.
So you get a lot more physical with Quaintance, Diabate, all these
Mm-hmm.
Cam coming in. They're gonna, I think, try to be everything. They're still gonna want to finesse and do post system, still want to have some shooting, but they're not going to get pushed around. They shouldn't get punked. If teams want to roll up their sleeves and get dirty and take it to a back alley, Kentucky's going to be better equipped to do that this coming year. They got some guys that are like, okay, well, let's go to the back alley then. And so
Yep. That and they were missing that badly last year,
mm-hmm.
and they've got him now. So,
Yeah.
and I think and I think Trent Noah is a guy that was trying to be that.
Oh,
His
he
body
was,
just he was
yeah.
trying, man. His body
Yeah.
wasn't there yet. So
Mm-hmm.
he goes on and puts some good weight. You got a lot of them. You got a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what changes between now and next week. Like you mentioned, the visit just dropped for
Yeah, this stuff
kid
changes by the hour.
Wilkerson. So who knows what happens between now and then? But keep it locked. Subscribe and review and rate here. Follow Aaron. Subscribe to the Cat's Pose. Watch on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. We do this every single week, and then we do uh, as needed impromptu episodes as well. So try to keep you covered. Man, enjoy April and May, and
Appreciate it.
appreciate you hopping on here every week. Oh, hey, I would have kicked myself. Congratulations to our guy, especially your guy, Dick Gabriel, man. Oh, just the
Hall of
journalism
Famer.
Hall of Fame. We can't close this out without acknowledging that, man.
Oh, we got 2 Lexington legends. Obviously, Dick, the UK Hall of Fame. I mean, and so how has that not happened yet? UK, come on, like this guy. Oh man, I could go on for hours. I love Dick, and he's meant a lot to my career. But another guy who I have a lot of love and respect for, John Clay, was down in San Antonio. I Bleav was it USWBA Let's see what it was exactly. Yeah, USBWA, United States Basketball Writers Association Hall of Famer for John Clay, who's been obviously has been on the AP voting for a while now. So, two guys in the Lexington market who are staples in college athletics and media. Dick Gabriel, again, he's been my mentor. He's the one who got me really to where I'm at now. Wouldn't have been here without him at all. So, love Dick, and love and respect John as well. And so happy for both well deserved.
Yeah, like you said, Pillars been doing it a long time. You work closely with Gabe all
Oh
the
yeah.
time, man. Every single week. Uh, like in studio, you're down there, Big Blue Insider. You were, part of that show for how long? Like,
Yeah, I mean, my whole junior year of college until
okay,
COVID, I was going in there 5 days a week, man.
yeah,
So yeah, I love Dick. He's the man, and so happy for him.
yeah, and he's been kind enough to have me on his show as a guest. I don't even know why, but he has me on, and I mean, I was calling in to you
That's right.
a few years back when you were in college. So he's been kind enough to come on here. Got to get him back on when you're on. Probably do that here once he gets all the confetti off of him and the Hall of Fame champagne, whatever they do for Hall of Famers. I don't know, but we'll
I'll
get him
never
in
know.
here when things slow down. We'll get him in here and I don't know, kicking around maybe like a little all time UK basketball starting five and plus one or something like that. Some kind of little show like that. Have Gabe on and
That'd be
get his
great.
insights. And man, it's the sideline reporting for football, man. Every time you listen to the broadcast, Tom throws it down to Gabe from the sidelines. Just 40 years, man. That's
Crazy.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is crazy. So,
And
congrats to him. I'm so happy for
and as a kid, here we go, me talking about as a
him.
kid again. I remember him as a kid on TV at WKYT, man, on the news
Yeah,
there, and he had I mean, you're a baseball guy, so you're gonna know he had the beard back in the
of
day,
course.
and it was like Steve Bedrosian, the old pitcher that played for the Phillies. Your dad would know him. He was before your time, but look up Steve Bedrosian and see if the gay beard is not similar. So I don't know,
Oh
but
yeah, I've seen pictures. I've
yeah,
seen it.
yeah. But congrats to Gabe, and we couldn't close this out without
Absolutely.
not mentioning that for sure. Oh, so another great episode, and we definitely appreciate everybody that takes the time to listen and watch and subscribe and rate and review. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Bleav in Kentucky on the Bleav Podcast Network. Everybody stay safe. Go Cats. We'll holler at y'all later.